Hello, and welcome to session number 4 of my Baldur's Gate 3 lore through. Hi Smurf, welcome. So, let's see, there we are. Right, we've done quite a few things so far. So, the last episode focused on some of the stuff around the Blighted Village. I've realised, though, that there are a few things that are that we haven't touched on yet. So I thought I'd just do a little roundup of that, and then we'll be moving on to a few other exciting places. Oh. Impatiently opening the door. Right, so in this building, in this cellar, we find something quite interesting, which we'll get to in just a second. So, can I just pick this up? Move the broom out of the way. Pick up this. Might as well scrounge through the cupboards to get a little bit of gold. Trap disarm toolkit, can never have too many of those. It's a bit dark in here. Let us pray for some light. Oh, okay, Gale is the light. Gale is the light that guides us through the darkness. Okay. So in this place, we find a forge. So above ground, we found some blueprints, which will allow us to figure out how to use this forge. But in order to do that, we're going to need to get some specific ingredients. But we did pick up a book, so let's have a little read. Or a note, sorry. So the note is titled, "A Pleasurable Deal, The Shocking Truth." Below is a transcript of an interview with the writer and director of A Pleasurable Deal, Mr. Kingsley Harp. Interviewer: What was the inspiration behind this, if I may be so bold, entirely lewd piece of drama? Harp: It's about exploring the taboo, seeing who we are as people really are. Yes, Robert makes a deal with a Cambion, but who wouldn't? Interviewer: Well, I'd like to think most people wouldn't. Harp: Then you don't know most people. Everybody wants something. Everyone needs something. Cambions can see it in a way they know us better than we know ourselves. Interviewer: But at the end of the play, Robert dies horribly. What does that say about what we, as you put it, need? Harp: You forget. Robert dies because he broke away from Carlisle. He didn't stay true to the deal they made. Interviewer: So you're encouraging people to make a pact with Hell's offspring, to give up, as Robert did, his soul? Harp: We only have one life, why not make the most of it? Interviewer: So what was your deal? Harp: I beg your pardon? Interviewer: In fact, this was your directorial debut, wasn't it? You couldn't even get published in the tabloid Baldur's Bash before this play came out. Did you honestly trade your soul for an erotic play? Harp: All right, we're done here. So, they mentioned a Cambion in this drama. So, a Cambion is a quite interesting creature. So, effectively, we've been speaking about tieflings as those who have some kind of reasonably distant ancestry that is associated with fiendish blood. Now, a Cambion is a much more direct offspring from fiendish blood, and usually that's going to be a succubus or an incubus of some kind. So succubi and incubi are types of devil. A Cambion is what happens when you mix fiendish blood and kind of mortal humanoid blood. So Cambions inherit aspects of both parents. So D&D uses a kind of alchemical system of race, or we could say an alchemical system of species, I guess, wherein blood can mix and can produce kind of these combinations like we see in half-elves and half-orcs. So Cambions are much more overtly fiendish than tieflings are. They have wings, and generally appear much more within the vein of kind of the traditional representation of kind of a devil. Now, we have actually met a Cambion, and that Cambion is Raphael. So, Raphael is a creature that exists within the hierarchy of hell, but he is not actually fully a devil. He's a half devil. So, whereas with tieflings, you have this idea that they are kind of they've got a distant fiendishness in their blood, which doesn't really determine their kind of moral alignment. That is thrown out of the window with the Cambion. So Cambions are marked by their blood, and that blood effectively makes them evil. So the Monster Manual describes Cambions as, even as a youth, a Cambion identifies its rightful place as an overlord of mortals. It might orchestrate uprisings in towns and cities, gathering gangs of humanoids and lesser devils to serve it. But Cambions kind of have almost the worst of both worlds. They have this kind of ontological evil bred into them by the kind of logic of race and heredity that D&D uses for so many of its creatures. But Cambions are also not quite as powerful as full devils. They're not quite as powerful as their fiendish parents, which is to say that they can very easily be used by those parents for various different ends. So that's what's going on when we mention Cambions, and the idea is that even though Cambions are not full devils, they still play a role within the hierarchy of hell in some sense. Now, it's quite possible for a figure like Raphael that the reason that he has kind of this system going with the House of Hope is because he needs to much more overtly lean into some of those aspects of the hierarchy of hell in order to be taken seriously. So it's the case that there's a kind of precarity to the position that a Cambion occupies in some sense. Right, this chest is trapped, so let's get Astarion to do a little bit of disarming. I think we'll be fine without calling on Ogma. Okay, so we have Highcliff's blueprints and some gold. Let's have a look at these blueprints. Precise arcs and neatly drawn lines form the blueprints of 3 weapons, a greatsword, a sickle, and a dagger. Each length and angle is marked with exact measurements, and forging instructions are printed carefully along the bottom of the page, emphasizing an unusual ingredient, Sasur bark. The Sasur bark can only be applied to an ordinary unmodified blade.
They call for Susa bark. There's only one place I'm finding a Susa tree. The Underworld.
So we have some infernal iron, we have a steel-forged greatsword, and we have a blacksmith's note. So let's have a read of the blacksmith's note. Specimen, metal, hardness 9.5, very hard. Melting point unknown. Colour, silver. Markings, red lacerations flecked with yellow dust. Source, Underdark? Notes. Gift from, redacted. Faintly sulfuric odour. Forging unsuccessful, will not melt or warp at standard temperature. So, infernal iron is going to be relevant for something else we're going to need to do somewhat shortly. But infernal iron is, as the name implies, iron that is made within hell, or Bator or Beator, however you want to pronounce that. It is the kind of metal that is used to make the arms and armaments of devils, so that they can fight in the blood war against demons. It's much harder than ordinary metal. So we don't need to actually go through here, but this wall leads to a little alcove, which we can just poke our heads round in here. It leads to a little alcove that leads down to where we fought the phase spiders and the ettercaps. We don't need to go back there right now. Yes, okay, so there's a few different swords and stuff in here. Oh, the Approachable East Volume 6. There's lore. I must say, for a place with so many orcs and goblins, Thesk is a remarkably pleasant land, a true melting pot where all are accepted and quite a lot seems permitted. Alas, the crew I sailed here with were imprisoned by the harbour master, but I was soon on the road known as the Golden Way, and it lives up to its name. The wealth of a continent marches along this road. Furs from Neverwinter and iron from Nashkel flow in one direction, while silks and jewels flow in the other. I have heard so many stories of the world. The Golden Way passes through Rashomon, through the wastes of the Hordlands, and on to the continent of Karatur, a land of empires, dragons, and beasts I've never dreamt of. I'm so close to Rashomon, but what was once my dream now sounds so mundane. Last night I made camp and was joined by a charming fellow. I told him of my dream of seeing Rashomon, and he laughed. He claims that Rashomon is nothing compared to Thay, and invited me to visit the court of the Zolkirs. It seemed rude to turn down such an illustrious invitation, so I will see what Thay has to offer, then Rashomon and beyond. So we've touched on Thay as being kind of a home of one of the Forgotten Realms, like big bad factions, the Red Wizards. Rashomon is the land that is quite focused on spirits, like spirits of the land, and they have kind of witches. And I mentioned it in connection with conversations about kind of specifically Native American culture. And I think I opened the question as to whether or not there was some elements of appropriation going on there. I'm not the person to really ask about that with this specific culture. I'm sure that there are others out there with much more interesting things to say on that. But as for some of these other places that are mentioned, so the Hordlands are very interesting. The Hordlands are basically kind of the edge of the map, or what used to be the edge of the map for Forgotten Realms at a certain point in time. So, as a slight refresher, the Forgotten Realms occurs on the planet of Toril, and the continent that we're on is Faerun. And the Sword Coast is basically the western edge of Faerun. When you go further east, you eventually hit the edge of civilization, which is sort of to the east of Thay and Mullerand, and there's a few other kind of places around there as well. But you end up in the Hordlands, which are this kind of vast wilderness that's completely kind of impossible to colonize. And then it mentions Karatur. Now, Karatur is not a setting that I am super familiar with, but my understanding is that Karatur is the setting that is kind of very East Asian inspired. And my understanding is further that the setting has come under a lot of criticism for various kinds of Orientalism. In particular, there was I'm trying to think of the name of the book. There was a kind of supplement or a book. It may have just been called Karatur: The Eastern Realms, but that basically introduced this as a part of Forgotten Realms, and one of the problems with this is that it basically here it is. So Karatur as a setting was actually detailed in the first edition of D&D, and is very much based on East Asia, and it was the 1985 text Oriental Adventures. So already, from even the use of that word and the kind of mobilization of that category, you are dealing with straightforward Orientalism, like the very kind of thing that figures like Edward Said have written on prolifically. And one of the things that I remember from this book is that it encodes certain things like an honor system, which are not necessarily bad in of themselves to have within like a tabletop RPG or any kind of storytelling, but the way that they did it relied upon quite a lot of orientalizing, othering, and exotifying tropes. But it's mentioned here, as a location because canonically it does exist. It's not something that has been touched upon that much in fifth edition. Like as this note kind of says, we know it still exists. We know it's out there. It's very very far away, but we don't know what it looks like in fifth edition. And my hope, and aspiration, I guess, is that if it is something that is ever reintroduced into fifth edition, it is something that is handled much more sensitively than it was in previous editions, and that it is something that is actually discussed with, at the very least, sensitivity readers, but also that it is something that is written by people who have much more of an insight and hopefully lived experience of the East Asian cultures that are used to inspire it. But we're going the wrong way. That's Karatur. So that book is just basically kind of almost. It's very clear that the inspiration for this is the historical Silk Road, the road through Thresk into Rashomon into Thay that goes across the Horde lands into Karatur, which was one of the main trade routes that linked Europe with East Asia historically.
That's curious.
Oh, okay, so we have something to dig here.
No hope of clearing this without a shovel.
Oh, I don't have a shovel? Truly? Oh, that's no good. Okay, we'll have to come back for that. But we also have this exsanguinated boar.
It looks healthy, but it's stone dead.
Okay, well, something. It's dead. Let's go. The pig's dead, my friend. Staring at it won't bring it back. Come on. We'll never fix these brain worms if we stop and gawk at every piece of carrion we find.
Let's examine the boar's corpse with medicine.
The boar seems to be fresh, only a few hours dead. Examining the corpse, you see two small puncture wounds in its neck.
And is it dead enough for you?
Persuasion. These marks are strange. Do you recognize them? Let's just also pray to Ogma.
It's been drained of blood with wounds in its neck. It's been killed by a vampire. I didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to worry you. They are ferocious creatures. But don't worry. I'll keep watch tonight. We won't have to worry about nocturnal visitors. Now please, let's go.
Okay. Oh.
What's on your mind?
Nothing, Gale. You just stepped in front of my cursor is all. Okay. Oh, we can make it. We can do it. Come on, Archivist, you've got this. Gale, it's now really the time to develop arcane hunger. And now we have Lae'zel, just happy to be over there. Yes, this bridge also marks a wonderful point where the lighting changes. It's nice and sunny over here, it's not sunny over there. Right, do we have some magic we can give to Gale to make him less of a wuss? Yeah, probably. Hello.
What's on your mind? Apart from finding me an artifact to consume, which I assume you're pursuing with the appropriate urgency.
You have been hungering for all of 5 seconds, my dude. Okay, we think we have an artifact.
Gratifying to hear. May I?
Let's give Gale a magic artifact, and we're going to give him not the braces of defense because they are great. We'll give him the speedy light feet.
Thank you. That hit the spot. I can feel it work. The magic, it's like a lullaby that sings to sleep the demon inside. A metaphorical demon, I haste to point out, but no less dangerous, and no less bound to wake up again to continue its ravages. Such is the nature of all monsters.
I'm glad you're feeling better. Your condition sounds unpleasant, to say the least.
Oh, it's not so bad once you get used to it. And, on the plus side, my tower in Waterdeep has never been so free of clutter. Sincerely, though, I understand I ask a lot from you with few answers in return. But in time, all will be told.
Don't mention it. I'm glad I could help.
My lord, I bow to your boundless kindness.
He's a thespian, ladies and gentlemen. So, along this road, we have some bloated hyena.
Something tore right through these people. They didn't stand a chance.
Beautiful broken heap smells oddly enticing. You find you can't resist inhaling her offals. You hear what comes next before you see it. The sharp snapping of bones, and a yelp of pain as her body starts to twist and undulate. The realization hits you. That stench wasn't the dead. You can sense that the hyena's very flesh is desecrated. Her darling pups will not be of her own species. Gnolls bring forth their iniquitous litter from many corpsed wounds, including hyenas.
Let's go for the Cleric of Ogma Wisdom. Bless the hyena trying to purge her body of evil.
Slowly, her broken body starts to calm, to stop its wild contortions. She lies still. Whatever horrific creature was growing inside the hyena dies along with her.
That was one of them, though. There are a few more. So let's... that hyena looks like it wants to run away. So let's just... There we go.
That hyena will be back. It won't be alone.
Oh, Gale, that hyena is dead.
What now? What path lies before me? Never seen that before.
This plane finds new and exciting ways to disgust me.
This place
Take
smells
some...
of blood. Let's go. Before more join us.
Get some hyena ears, a very useful reagent. Okay, so we have up here some gnolls. So you can see these are the hyena-faced people. We talked a bit about Yeenoghu in a previous episode. But let's talk a little bit more about gnolls. So we discussed gnolls as being like the children of Yeenoghu. So basically, the idea is that there was a point in time when Yeenoghu, this demon lord, escaped into the material plane and basically started doing what demon lords do best and causing problems on purpose. And that he whipped up packs of hyenas, and these would follow in his wake, and they would eat kind of, what was left after he passed through. And the legend suggests that these hyenas were transformed into the first gnoll, and that these then basically followed Yeenoghu as his kind of children, and that they remain in the Forgotten Realms as a kind of vestige of his power. So again, we are dealing with creatures that are firmly in the category of monster, not in terms of game rules, in terms of the rules they are considered humanoids, but they are very much considered monsters. And one of the reasons that they are considered so dangerous is because they are birthed from chaotic evil. They are demonic in origin, which means to say that they exist as a completely random threat. They're difficult to predict, they live in the wilderness, they're nomadic, and basically they just leave destruction wherever they go. So the idea as well is that they're kind of much like hyenas, they are scavengers, in the sense that they will choose easy targets, they'll ignore kind of fortified settlements, and one of the other ways that they are characterized as monsters is that they don't actually build anything, they don't craft anything, they don't even make their own weapons. These are all scavenged from creatures that they kill. They basically exist as the ideal pure savage is what we're dealing with when we're talking about a gnoll. So here is a quote directly from the Monster Manual. No goodness or compassion resides in the heart of a gnoll. Like a demon, it lacks anything resembling a conscience and can't be taught or coerced to put aside its destructive tendencies. The gnoll's frenzied bloodlust makes them an enemy to all, and when they lack a common foe, they fight amongst themselves. Even the most savage orcs avoid allying with gnoll. So, gnoll are very much, you've probably heard of the trope of kind of the noble savage, which is often used when talking about it's often used in context when talking about narratives that involve kind of white saviors a lot of the time. So I'm thinking here of things like Avatar and Pocahontas, and like the noble savage as being like the pure person that is in this kind of state of nature, and has like a deeper connection with the world, and that kind of is where their value comes from. Gnolls are the opposite of that. They are the kind of pure savage. So Yeenoghu still has a huge role in the Gnolls. So their society, such as it is, very loosely defined, is all about killing, causing destruction, pillaging, and whenever there are victories, these are celebrated by engaging in rituals that venerate Yeenoghu, that offer blood to Yeenoghu. And one of the rewards of this, as described in the Monster Manual, is that on occasion Yeenoghu will allow one of his worshippers to become possessed by a demonic spirit, naming them a Fang of Yeenoghu. And basically, the Fang of Yeenoghu is given an ability to basically create more gnoll from hyenas that feast upon its kills. So here we had a bunch of hyenas, like down here, we had a bunch of hyenas that were clearly feeding on people who'd been killed, and they were gestating new gnoll. If we had been slightly slower, we got rid of them very quickly. If we'd been slightly slower, they would have exploded with newborn gnoll. But up here, let's see, we have a flesh gnawer. Here we go, the Fang of Yeenoghu. Let's just inspect. This Fang of Yeenoghu will have a special ability. It's not listed in the game statistics, but they have the capacity to... they're listed as a monstrosity here, which is not actually true. A Fang of Yeenoghu is technically a fiend, according to the Monster Manual, but anything that this Fang of Yeenoghu kills, if that is then fed upon by an ordinary hyena, they begin to gestate a gnoll, is basically the point. Right, I think that... Is that everything I have to say about gnoll? Do I have anything else to say about gnoll? Let's see. I mean, there's plenty of different types of gnoll, but I guess the other thing is to maybe discuss them in terms of kind of a symbol. So we've talked about them in terms of hunger, um, or I mean, I'm getting my words mixed up. We've talked about them as kind of this this kind of primitivism, as this kind of wild ferocity, as these kind of pure savages. But one of the things that defines Gnoll more than anything else is their hunger. They are always hungry, they can always eat, they are desperate for food all the time. Gnoll just want to eat. That is the main thing that they are trying to achieve. So in terms of what kind of savagery or what they symbolize rampant hunger. But now, let's deal with them as best we can.
In my best interest.
Right, Lae'zella's going to cross blades with the Fang of Yeenoghu. Well, it didn't last very long. And Gale's running out of spells. Oh, would have been nice to have seen that, but
Push my luck
we were
again.
too busy looking at the floor. Oh, we missed. Astarion. Oh, they're facing the other way, so we're all good. Yeah, we can probably just take him out. Ooh. Again, we cheese it with a little bit of jumping.
On my way.
Let's have a look at this Fang of Yeenoghu. Nothing for us to really look at there.
Quite worth it for the tired mind. Sleep beckons. I would follow.
So we have a note here to read called An Open Letter on Oppression and Peacocks. Written in a furious sloping hand, this is a letter to the editor of Baldur's Bash, a tabloid notorious for its controversial articles. Dear editor, I find it despicable, nay diabolical, that you would defend Baldur's Gate's ridiculous restrictions regarding animals in the city. No animal larger than a peacock may gain entry. How archaic. My darling Giselle is the most well-behaved bear you'll ever meet, and yet to spend time with my child I must visit my summer home in Cormyr. I call upon the Parliament of Peers to resolve this issue immediately. The emotional and psychological well-being of the people of Baldur's Gate is at stake, and I shall take this to the highest of authorities should it not be dealt with accordingly. Right now, Giselle cries out for her father. This archaic policy has separated a child from their parent. I don't know how Grand Duke Alder Ravengard lives with himself. Yours faithfully, Mr. R. Pickens. So there is some politics going on in the city of Baldur's Gate. Yes, Baldur's Gate has a rule that no animal larger than a peacock may enter the city proper. So this is one of the things here is that basically you're not allowed mounts or horses inside the city. Just picking up a lot of hyena-y bits and bobs. Okay. Let's see. I think, Mr. Gale,
Go ahead. I'm listening.
you need to go back to
Question the
camp.
wisdom of- I'll be in the
And the reason you need to do that is because you are out of spell slots, and we need someone who still has spell slots. So I'm going to go and grab Will.
I should speak up.
Gale slurped that thing up like a horse with a carrot. I hope he got what he needed from it. That's the spirit.
Thank you, Will, for all that. Oh, okay, we can level Will up. Level 4 Warlock. Right, so for our feat we are just going to increase our ability scores. Yes. For our cantrip, let's see. I mean, Eldritch Blast is basically going to be unbeatable. I'm going to get Minor Illusion. And for spells... what other spells do we have? We've got a lot of close range ones. I'm going to get rid of Armour of Agathis. And I'm going to get Scorching Ray. And then for a new spell, I think I'll get Shatter. Right, let's go, Will.
Raid of frontiers, Do you always need to be the center of attention?
Oh,
If not over, then through.
they were just having a little discussion there we missed out on. So lots of dead Knoll.
Athene's friend. You're welcome to rest here.
Who's there? Please, keep your distance. You're welcome to shelter here, but we've grave injuries to tend to.
What is this place?
The Toll House, once upon a time. Now a house of respite for those of us burned by a devil. We are paladins of Tyr, Lord of Justice. He sent us after an infernal being, straight out of the Nine Hells, hiding in the form of a one-horned tiefling.
One horn? Then you mean Karlach, Archdevil's bootlicker.
You know her, which means you know what the Fiend is capable of. She slaughtered countless refugees fleeing the Absolute. Yesterday, she butchered an entire family without mercy. We were lucky to survive our encounter with her.
This could be the work of a devil, but they collect souls through cunning, not carnage.
It isn't like a devil to use their brawn instead of their brains.
Indeed, she's a uniquely vicious race. All the more reason she must be stopped.
Where is this devil?
She ran toward the river when she saw we were merely wounded, not dead. Down the hill from here. She must pay for her crimes. If you capture her, you will have served Tyr where we could not.
This is the sword of justice, blessed by Tyr. I've wielded it since I swore my oath.
It's all I have. But it's yours, if you stop her. Bring me her head, and Tyr will consider her crimes repaid.
Very well, I'll bring you her head.
May the just God guide you.
So, Tyr. Tyr is, well, Tyr opens a bunch of worms, I guess. Many cans of worms for some of the metaphysics that go on within Forgotten Realms. So, Tyr is a Norse god in our world. The god of justice, who has one hand and one eye, I believe. So, in Forgotten Realms, one of the things that is described as part of the metaphysics is that gods can enter from other what are called crystal spheres. So, crystal sphere, generally speaking, we're not going to go too deep into this concept because it's honestly something of a headache and not my favourite element of the storytelling. But crystal spheres are basically different world systems. So for each D&D setting, you have a different crystal sphere. And also our world is in a different crystal sphere. you can travel between them, but it's much more difficult than traveling between different planes of existence, which is already pretty difficult within this world. Anyway, Tyr is a god of justice. He's known as the Even-Handed. He was very centrally involved, or his church was very centrally involved in the original Neverwinter Nights, as one of the main characters of that was a paladin of Tyr known as Arabeth de Tilmarand, who was involved in that story. Also, the ruling family of Neverwinter, before the Spell Plague, were worshippers of Tyr. Lord Nasha Alagondar was a worshipper of Tyr. So these guys are seeking justice, and they are seeking the same person that Will is seeking. And this is someone that we are going to find. Let's go down here. Oh, there's a dead toll collector. I wonder what happened to him. Oh, and here's his key.
A key? Wonder what it opens.
Ah.
One horn, the stink of Avernus, Advocatus Diaboli.
Well, I'll be God's damned. The Blade of Frontiers. Thought I'd shaken you for good. That'll teach me to underestimate you.
You're the devil we've been hunting. Karlach, right?
Bloody right. An honor to be chased by the Blade of Frontiers, but
A great heat roars through you, her heat, fiery as the hells. Then you're lost in visions of demonic armies as you tear through a landscape of fire and blood, the Blood War. You saw it from above as the Nautiloid passed through Avernus. This woman was on the front line.
what was that?
Evidence, proof that you're a devil, a gladiator in the archdevil Zariel's army.
I can explain, but it's a whole situation. If you just hear me out.
Another vision. Karlach's blade raised, slicing through devils, Zariel's servants, as her eyes dart around, seeking escape. Her rage and desperation seep into you. She is a victim of the Blood War, not an agent of it.
She's trying to trick us. Don't believe her lies.
You saw the truth. I never wanted to serve Zariel. I was enlisted in her army against my will. Forced to fight, and fight I did. When I saw an opportunity to get away, I took it. Finally home. Near it, anyway.
You served her. That's enough to damn you.
Stand down, Will. You saw what I saw.
Will catches his breath and his lips straighten. Sheer dread twists his face.
You don't know what you're saying. You're asking me to trust a devil.
Gods, you're stubborn. Karlach's not a devil, and you know it.
Listen to sense now. Don't want this to end badly for either of us. You know monsters, right? Better than anyone. Look into my eyes. Can't you see I'm not what you think?
Shit. You really are no devil, are you? I've been deceived.
Oh, thank the gods. Thought I was gonna have to take your head.
You would have died in the attempt. But there have been enough threats today.
Truce then, eh?
Aye. Truce.
I'm Karlach. You already knew that. And you are...
I'm the archivist.
Well, Well met, soldier. Nice to meet a friendly around here. It's been tough going so far. I may not be a devil, but I can put the blade's reputation to work. How would you feel about helping me kill some evil bastards? Little background if your moral compass needs something to point at. You already know I fought in the Blood War. I was good. Really good. It turns out I've got a knack for killing demons. That made me a valuable asset. Zariel, the archdevil herself, made me as her personal attack dog. I played along until I could get the fuck out of there. But devils don't like to lose their assets. Zariel liked it. So lucky. She sent a bunch of goons, so-called paladins of Tyr, to take me back. Problem is, I'm not going.
Let's send them back where they came from.
Fuck yes! They cornered me outside the toll house just up the hill. Doubt they've gone far after the scorching I gave them. Then we can work on evicting this parasite and take Faerun by their short hairs. Sound good?
Sounds like a great plan.
I'd hug you if it wouldn't scorch your skin off. Hang on though. Looks like you've got enough backup at your side. Not sure there's room for me. I'll catch up with you when it's time to camp for now. But don't get to any of the fun stuff without me. Got it?
Okay. Oh, Will has something to say.
You've been witness to a pantomime, I'm sorry to say. And I've played my part all too poorly.
What's that supposed to mean? Lay it out plainly, Will.
It means that a reckoning's coming. And I'll be the one to pay up.
What manner of hero is so shrouded in secrets?
I have never called myself hero. But I am bound to an oath. One night soon when we make camp, the veil will be lifted, and I'll pay my penance.
Penance? Should I be worried?
You're not in any danger, I promise. I can't say the same about me.
Okay. So, let's see. Let's send Lae'zel home.
Karlach's got the best
Oops.
of all. She speaks her mind plainly and fully. Show her due respect.
So the line that we missed was, Karlach's got the brawn of a warrior and the wiles of a survivor. Right, wait for me at camp.
Are you sure that's the best course of confirm?
Okay. Right, let's go and pick up Karlach, because we're going to help her out.
Hey,
Come on, we're heading out.
hell yes.
So, Karlach is a barbarian. And we're going to be keeping her as a barbarian. As we keep going. So, her usual subclasses is a wild heart. We're going to go for a berserker, which changes our rage a little bit. But I think it's going to be more fun this way. And we're going to do an ability score improvement in strength and constitution.
What to do?
Just a short
Time to
rest.
get going.
Okay, let's just have a quick little save. So, one of the difficulties with this fight is that the Paladins of Tyr, who are not, as Karlach revealed to us, actually Paladins of Tyr, are they're tough. They are a tough fight, or they can be.
What's so funny? You haven't got some laughing curse, have you?
I really made it out of Avernus. It's incredible.
All right, just keep it down. We're conspicuous enough without your hyena call.
Ooh, very nice reference to the gnolls that are all around us. Okay. Have we bound this packed weapon? No, we haven't. There we go. That's better.
Blood. No, never mind.
Right, let's just quick save, just in case
Don't waste
we
your
get
stuff.
completely destroyed.
You brought her here. We won't survive another assault. Leave us in peace, and we shall leave you in kind.
Cut the crap, Anders. I know what you are.
Don't let her hurt us. Please. We just want to go home.
We're going to use insight to assess his posture, his eyes. Is he telling the truth? Pray to Ogma.
There's something in the squint of his eye. You suspect he's lying.
Enough of this charade. I know who you really are.
Enough. Enough. I'll not play pretend anymore. Karlak, you're going home in pieces if needs must. And you'll soon learn what it means to ally yourself with the likes of this garbage.
Athanas was never my home. It was my prison. I'm free now. And I'm never going back!
Okay.
At the ready.
The AI is very good at casting Hunter's Mark after attacking with a bow. Oh, we missed.
Fuck yes.
Okay, Anders is down, which is great, because Anders is really an irritating fight. Alright, this might be a bit annoying as she is now climbing onto the roof, just to really get in the way. There we go.
Another fight. Let's go. Light on my feet.
What are we doing, Sorel?
Nothing important is ever easy.
Let's go and smack her. Try shoving her. Oh, we moved her so far. Right, can we just shoot her? Yes? Oh. Oh, Will has been held. Oh. There we go. Oh, what a wonderful angle.
Sorry. I won't go back. I'm never going back. And if any of Mummy's little friends want to pick up where the others left off, they'll find nothing but a pile of ash.
Easy, Karlak. Those flames are getting big. I'm floating in the sky.
Not big enough. Now get out before you get hurt. Now!
So, yes. Karlak has a little moment to let off some steam. And her preferred method for this is just running around and setting everything on fire. And, oh dear, it appears that Will is having a bad time with that. Okay, let's get him out.
One day I'll catch a
She's suffering from unbridled wrath, everybody. We've all been there. So we're going to have to wait a second before we loot. Oh, she's still going. Have I got Speak with Dead prepared as a spell? I know I have it from there, but why is it in here twice? How bizarre. Whoops.
That ought to do it.
Oh, I just used the help action. That's wonderful.
Whew. Had to let off a little steam after facing off with those ignots. Granted, the fire's lasting a little longer than it should. How do I look?
Hot.
Careful, soldier. If I burn any hotter, I might explode. Hear that? Infernal engine for a heart. Lets me burn as hot as the hells. Seems to be running in overdrive since I left Avernus. Won't be seeing my mechanic anytime soon, so I'll just make the most of the extra heat. Just don't get too close, till I've found a way to calm it down.
How the hells did you get an infernal engine for a heart?
High pain tolerance, and a dynamic duo of truly shitty bosses. But it's a bit early in the game to be getting into tragic backstories.
Fourth
Let's
wall
save
break.
a scar show for later, after we've worked up an appetite for tragedy. Meanwhile, I'll need to find someone who can tune up my engine sooner rather than later. Believe me when I say this thing is hot. The first time I faced down those paladins, they let slip there was an infernal mechanic in the area. A tiefling. He might be able to stabilize things, if I can find him.
There's some tieflings holed up in a druid's grove nearby. We might look there.
Sounds like a good lead. Hopefully our guy will be among them. A tune-up would do this old tub a world of good.
Okay. Right. Now that we've done all that, let's go in and actually take some loot.
Something good here, I hope.
So we have the sword. Right, let's just get some of the heavier stuff. Give that to Karlak. Oh. What's down here?
That corpse is riper than a Manaurus bulb.
Let's have a read of the Toll House ledger, which is up here now. A ledger containing the details of a toll house's takings for the current year 1492 DR. Most entries are neatly written, listing the travellers and the amount of gold paid, but the text on the most recent page is smudged and rambling. 9th of Marpanoth, 4 merchants with a single wagon of sundries, 25 gold. 12th of Marpanoth, Flaming Fist Company, 15 fists and gauntlet, 100 gold fee waived, fists don't pay tolls, they extort. 21st of Marpanoth, brewer and 2 guards bringing kegs to Waukeen's Rest, 35 gold. 2nd of Uktar, 7 farmers, no goods, no gold, wounded, warned us to leave. 3rd of Uktar, sent courier to request extra guards or relief. 7th of Uktar, more farmers, too many to count, no goods, carrying their own dead. 11th of Uktar, road untenable. 16th of Uktar, preparing to abandon post. So the Flaming Fist, as we've touched on before, they are a mercenary company that are effectively the law enforcement for the lower city of Baldur's Gate. So some of the idiosyncrasies or specifics of how Baldur's Gate is presented in a lot of the source materials is not actually kind of followed through in this game, which is not to detract from it. It's just to highlight that there are certain differences in how this game has presented the source material that it is adapting. So some of the things like the actual structure of the city is loosely correct, but not quite, as we'll see much further down the line when we get into the 3rd act and arrive in the city. But the Flaming Fist are basically a mercenary company, and they are a for-profit organization that serve as effectively the guards of the lower city. So Baldur's Gate is divided into 3 tiers. You have the upper city, which is where the government and the nobility are located. They have their own city watch that are supported by the parliament. You then have the lower city, which is basically any part of the city that isn't the noble part, but that is still within the walls. And they are patrolled by the Flaming Fist. The Flaming Fist mercenaries have a rather changeable reputation. They are mercenaries. They operate for profit, and they are ultimately answerable to Duke Ulder Ravengard, who is the Grand Duke. So he's currently the kind of de facto ruler of Baldur's Gate. Now, we do encounter him in this game, and he is presented rather honourably as kind of a generally good guy who is, trying to do good by the citizens of Baldur's Gate. In the source material, he's less good and more concerned with kind of duty. He's more concerned with running things in an orderly fashion, not necessarily for the greater good, but for the efficiency of running the city. Again, as this is a tabletop game, who he is subject to the role he plays within the story that is being told. But generally the Flaming Fist are, as mentioned here, they extort. They don't always have the best of reputations, because they ultimately they're mercenaries, right? They're not part of like a city watch. They are literally just there to serve effectively the highest bidder, and for the time being, that highest bidder is Ulder Ravengard. As for the 3rd tier of Baldur's Gate, it also has an outer city. So where Baldur's Gate is located, you effectively have the northwestern portion of the city, which is the upper city. Then you have, to the south and east of that, is the lower city. Then you have a district northwest, which is one of the outer city districts, and the rest of them are to the east, along the river Shonthar, and across that river by the bridge of Worm's Crossing. But we'll get to some of the geography of Baldur's Gate as we actually reach the city. Oh, block picking isn't possible, but we have a key, so... Oh, that's a trap that we almost stepped on. Let's just do some disarming, shall we? Pray to Ogma.
This way. Be careful. There are traps around.
Just clicking through these. What else have we got here?
Something over there.
Traveler's chest. A wooden chest.
All right. Be careful. There are traps around. Oh dear. Someone's left a trap.
Okay. So we have a book here called The Leadership of the Zentarim, or Zentarim. Let's have a read. An excerpt from the ongoing metatext Rebound by Iosefa Elgin, a scholar excommunicated from the Church of Denir for her heretical efforts to reconstruct the metatext, her god's annal of lost and hidden knowledge. Despite their protestation to the contrary, it takes no keen eye to see the echoes of Bainite philosophy in modern Zentarim practice, a strict militaristic hierarchy where all power flows from the top. Who occupies that position today is the matter of some speculation, for the Black Network's leadership was thought destroyed along with their headquarters at Zental Keep in 1383 DR, so about 100 years ago. In the following decades, however, a new base of power began to consolidate at the fortress of Darkhold far to the south. At its centre stands the Paragost, an enigmatic armoured figure whom the Zentarim's rebirth is to whom the Zentarim's rebirth is almost single-handedly attributed. Whoever their leader, it is clear that this new Zentarim have not abandoned plans for domination so much as recalculated their approach. Where once their focus was on the subversion and conquest of nations, the network of today is much more concerned with establishing their stranglehold on the market, a power which crosses borders that are closed to more conventional forces. So, the Zentarim, or the Black Network, are interesting because they are one of the major factions of the realms. So one of the things that was introduced in 5th edition, in the Sword Coast Adventurer's Guide, is that there are basically several different factions operating across the world that basically are... that they're kind of a way for the... they're a way for basically to have consistent what's what I'm looking for, like consistent players, consistent factions that are operating in different parts of the Forgotten Realms. So when we're talking about these factions, we have a couple of different examples. One of them is the Order of the Gauntlet, which is basically like effectively a coalition of different religious forces that are working together in order to basically oppose evil deities and their works across Faerun. We then have so we've done the Order of the Gauntlet. There's then the Lord's Alliance, which is basically a league of different nations and the rulers of those nations who are representing their shared interests, basically. There's then the which one is it? Sorry, the Emerald Enclave, I think it's called. Yes, the Emerald Enclave. So they are concerned with protecting nature. So the Emerald Enclave was mentioned in the D&D film Honor Amongst Thieves as the Druid in that is one of the... is basically belonging to that faction. You then have the Harpers, which are a kind of almost secret society, not so secret society, I guess, where they are basically spies that operate across the realms and they serve generally good causes. So those are the 4 others, along with the Zentarim. So the Zentarim have shifted a bit. So what they are now, as this book is telling us, is they're basically a mercantile organisation, known as the Black Network because they tend to basically be unfettered capitalism and mercantilism. I know that obviously those two things are rather different, but this is a an imagining of a kind of pastiche of the past from our current very capitalist world. The Zentarim want to dominate through the power of the market. So they are all about economic domination and they want to have control over trade. But they are very, very much the kind of roguish faction of they want to do this through operations like smuggling, like undermining their competition, and they are willing to use whatever means they can. As this book notes, the Zentarim used to be something quite different, and what the Zentarim used to be were a very large mercenary army that were ruled over effectively by the Church of Bane, and they got their name from Zentil Keep. So Zentil Keep was quite important because the avatar of Bane during the time of troubles, when gods became mortal, dwelt there for some time. It was associated with Cyric as well during the time of troubles, I believe. But yes, so that this is basically our introduction to one of the major factions. Within this game, the Emerald Enclave are mentioned. The Harpers and the Zentarim are directly represented. The Lord's Alliance and the Order of the Gauntlet are not really represented that much. Yes, that is one of the major factions within Forgotten Realms. One of the big five. Have we pinched everything? I think we've pinched most things from down here.
All's well that ends. Oh, not as bad as it could have.
Well, that was a bit much, wasn't it? I don't think we really needed all that. Okay, so that that's some of Karlak's stuff over here. So we are currently on the Risen Road. There is another fight that we can get ourselves involved in if we head over here. I think it's over here. Maybe this is not quite the right direction. No, I think we're good.
Don't want to draw any attention.
Whoops.
Breathe quiet.
Let's have a little sneaky sneak. What's that? Autumn crocus. Okay. Sneaky sneaky. See if we can blast them off the edge. The enemy is surprised, which is wonderful. Right, let's get you up there. Ah, there we go. Oh, he doesn't have it as action because he already used it. Hello. So again, we've got more Null here.
On my way.
And here we have a hunter. We have a very specific Null over there. So we've got the Fang of Yeenagu there. This one is a unique Null called Flind. Very impressive Mohawk, has to be said. Right, let's see. Let's try and use Sleep. Can do 24 hit points. So it can do the Fang of Yeenagu and the Hyena. Let's go for that. One of the main advantages to using something like Sleep in Baldur's Gate is you know the hit points, whereas in the tabletop, your Dungeon Master is not often going to give you the hit points. Right, let's send you into a frenzy. Okay, no longer surprised. Let's just try and pick off some of the weaker ones. For some reason, Will has decided he's not going to make sounds like the rest of the characters, and that's fine. We'll let him do what he needs to do. Oh, we need to get her some improvised weapons to have in her inventory. Yes, there we go. Oh goodness, Will.
Still breathing?
Wonderful work.
Despite everything.
By the gods, you're a sweet sight. Are any of my crew still alive out there?
No, it's a grim sight.
This whole journey's been one grim sight after another. Gnolls, goblins, drow. Risen Road's more dangerous than ever. You're the first friendly face we've seen since Eltergard.
Eltergard's a long way from here. Where are you headed?
We're bound for Baldur's Gate. Got some cargo to deliver. But we've a stop to make along the way.
So it may seem kind of almost amusing how often we're encountering people who are saying, I'm going to Baldur's Gate, I'm going to Baldur's Gate. It's not that surprising when you consider that where we currently are, maybe for the next stream I'll set up a map so I can show you on a map of the Forgotten Realms, like roughly where we are. There isn't really anywhere else to go. Like, this is basically the road that is between Elturel, which is in Eltergard. That's the city that was almost dragged, well, it was temporarily dragged into hell. And Baldur's Gate, which means you are either going west to Baldur's Gate or you're going east to Eltergard and the cities therein. Unless you're headed for one of the smaller settlements along the way, but as we can see, there is major disturbances because of the Cult of the Absolute on the Risen Road. So they've got to make a stop along the way. Where's that?
Waukeen's Rest. It's just up the road. I'd be enjoying a mug of ale right now if those beasts hadn't jumped us. Listen, you look like you know how to handle yourself. You should meet my associates. We've got our own drinking spot by the tavern. Invitation only. Tell the fellow on the door. Little Serpent, Long Shadow. He'll take good care of you.
What's in the chest? Your cargo?
Aye, the whole reason we're in this mess. Trinkets for some rich tosser in Baldur's Gate. He gets his shiny baubles. We get a handful of Terenths.
A lot of people died for those baubles.
Rich men place more value on wine and fine clothes than on the lives of folks like me. It's a pretty bit of frippery that'll sit on a mantle gathering dust. But the pay for delivering it makes the risk worthwhile.
Okay, we're going to leave before Karlak decides to intimidate people. Right, Flind. So, we have a broken flail, but we also have a Mind Flayer parasite specimen. This is indicative that Flind is, in fact, parasited just as we are. She is associated in some way with the Cult of the Absolute. One other way this encounter could have gone, if we had approached it in the requisite fashion, would have been that we could have used our Mind Flayer parasite to influence her and to try and push her into turning against her own people. And one of the interesting things that illustrates is when we enter her mind, one of the primary sensations that we get from that is hunger. She is hungry all the time. We can turn that hunger on her her own band and find that that doesn't sate her. And we can basically keep pushing her hunger until she devours herself. That's what it kind of is to be a gnoll. Oh, there's a symbol over here. We can't seem to interact with it though. That's what gnoll kind of are meant to be. They seem and are often used just like kind of another monster, alongside kind of a lot of other kind of humanoid kind of monsters, like goblins and orcs. But gnolls are in fact metaphysical hunger given flesh. Again, a lot of the racial distinctions, or a lot of the metaphysical distinctions that are going on here and that often play out at the level of race, are attributed to gods. Which is to say, Why is this the way that it is? Because it was created that way, or it was influenced into being that way by one or more gods. So we've picked up a weapon here. Right, we're again carrying too much. So let's just shift a whole bunch of stuff over to Karlak, because she's very good at holding all that. That shall do. That shall do. Okay. Right. Let's return briefly to the grove. We'll pause here for a second. I'm going to replenish my beverage, so we'll take a 5 or so minute break, and then we will continue into the grove once again. So I'll see you shortly. Okay, let's continue. So, we're heading back into the Emerald Grove. Karlak's quite wounded, but it's fine, she'll live. So Karlak mentioned that there is a tiefling that may be able to help with the infernal engine that has been placed inside her heart.
I already told
Oh.
you I don't have it! How stupid are you?
See what's going on here.
I'm only going to ask you one more time, boy. Hand over my locket.
I don't have your ugly locket. I've never seen it before.
Hand it over or I'll slap the teeth out of your head.
Don't you dare lay a finger on that
You
child.
threatening me?
You're the one making threats to a child. Pull yourself together. Pray to Ogma. Bit overkill.
You don't understand. The kid stole my locket. He... Oh, the hell's with this? These little devils get away with everything because of coddling bastards like you. You'll get yours someday. I hope I get to see it.
Maybe you will, but personally, I doubt it. See you around.
Goodness.
Seems like a good moment to talk.
Hello.
Thought I sensed an infernal around here. But you aren't from Elturel. What's your story?
Spent a good bit of time in the Hells. Enlisted against my will by the Archdevil Zariel. Same as you, I suppose, if you're from Elturel. The devils were delighted when your city was swallowed up. I thought they had you for keeps. Glad you got out.
You got lucky. Looks like you did too. And you brought some infernal machinery with you.
A little gift from Zariel. Keeps me burning hot.
Very hot by the smell of it. Might be burning out a piston ring or leaking oil. Mind if I take a listen?
Be my guest. But don't get too close or your eyes will melt shut.
Phew! You really are burning up. Whoever put that engine together tried to house metallogized Demano valves inside a Ragnak's alloy case. Very risky. I might be able to help. I'd need infernal iron. And a prayer that my hammer will survive the work. That thing isn't meant to operate outside of Ernest. I'm not sure how much longer it'll keep running the way it's going.
Will you be able to turn down the temperature a little? Worried I'm gonna go in for a handshake and singe someone's arm off one of these days.
I'd worry about surviving the night first. But help one, help both. If we can cool you off, it'll stabilize your engine and allow you to touch whomever you please.
Hey soldier, I think we picked up some of that infernal iron already. What say you? Should I give it to him?
Absolutely. Let's see what he can do.
Please let this work.
The weight of it. And that blaze of chaos. Can't imagine this where my heart should be. Must be quite the experience. Give me just a moment. And I think... There. You'll have to install it, I'm afraid.
I don't think there are thick enough gloves in all the realms to protect from that kind of heat.
That feels good. I'm still burning hot as hell's hole, but I feel less changeable. Cheers, mate.
Pleasure. And as for the heat, I haven't got any solutions now, but I'm not giving up. Could be if the combustion chamber had its own insulation, or if we had some kind of enchanted coolant. Find me again in Baldur's Gate. If I'm worth my salt, I'll have figured something out by then. Take care, Karnak. And hopefully the next time I see you, I'll have something promising to report. Pocket any infernal iron you find along the way.
Okay. Right, come over here, and we'll have a little chat.
Damon's upgrade didn't cool me down, but it did juice me up. I don't think I've ever felt more powerful.
We'll find some more infernal iron and get you that second upgrade too.
Sooner rather than later would be good. I feel like I'm burning serious fuel.
Let's find you something to burn then.
That's what I like to hear. Now, let's trot. Standing still is making my skin itch.
Okay, so we do actually have, we do actually have some more infernal iron, but we can't actually upgrade Karlak again until the second act.
Looking for steel? I have, well, something close.
Okay, let's see your wares. Let's just sell a bunch of stuff we won't need. What else do we have? You can have both of the skulls I found. I'm not sure why you're buying them, but you can have them. Okay, right. Do we have any armor upgrades? That would be an upgrade, wouldn't it? And that would be an upgrade in terms of a shield. Ooh. I'm not proficient with heavy armor, that's a problem. Or with that. But I could wear that, so I'm going to get this for myself. As a little treat. I mean, I can sell some of these as well, because we're not going to need all that. I did give some stuff to someone else, didn't I? Yes, here we go.
Making me sweat.
Let's see. Let me remind myself. That's what I thought. I have minus strength, so I should really be going for something ranged. Okay, let's just swap my armor over. That's a bit better. Look at that. Okay, the drip is excelling a little more. Okay, so did we talk to this lady? I can't remember.
Ah, if it isn't the talk of the camp. It's a rare day when I see one of you lot about. Thank goodness you came along when you... Oh! You're twitching something fierce, love. And your eyes. You look like you don't know the meaning of the word sleep. Auntie Ethel will sort you out. I've lotions and potions galore.
Let her fuss over you.
Aha! You take a suck at that and you'll feel right as rain, sweetie.
And what is this exactly?
Oh, 'tis just a healing potion, nothing fancy. Here. You just look like you might need a pick-me-up. I'm sorry to go on about it. Are you all right? You're looking awful peaky.
I've been better. It's difficult to explain.
Oh, I've seen it all. I once had a fella who'd been caught dabbling with a dryad. The wife was none too pleased and introduced him to a pot of boiling oil. But worry not. I fixed him up, and depending on the lighting, he looks good as new. My point is, whatever ails you, I promise I've seen worse.
I hardly think that a mad old woman's lotions and potions are going to cure us. We should keep moving.
What is it, Pickle? What's wrong?
I've got a mind flare parasite in my head.
As you recount your adventure, Auntie Ethel nods along, her eyes wide.
You poor pet. My heart goes out to you, truly. I see no sign of a tentacle yet, but that could change in an instant. You need help. Serious help. I've ne'er a potion or lotion here that could do it, but yes, I may have something at home.
Such as?
I've collected some interesting bits and bobs over the years. You'll have to stop by my house, just at the edge of the forest. Let me mark it on your map. I'll be heading back soon, so I can meet you there. Now, do you need anything? I have a few odds and ends for sale.
Oh, what's the harm? Show me your wares.
Hey, bother.
Oh, a potion of greater healing. What a lovely little gift. She has some biscuits, she has some potions, she has a few different crafting materials. Nothing we need, though.
Be careful on the road. I'd hate if something happened to you. Take care, pet.
Okay. Right.
Until Roman shows off his thunder wave.
Depends.
I think we shall return to the Risen Road. So, the people that we met in that cave mentioned a location called Waukeen's Rest, and we're going to head slightly west along the road, and we're going to find Waukeen's Rest for ourselves. I love this thing that the game does where it spawns in creatures again, but they're dead. So they're just bodies that flop down. It's very silly. Okay. In fact, let's do a little prayer of healing. And where might we be?
Welcome to Waukeen's Rest. West Baldur's Gate, East Elturel.
So as I was saying, West Baldur's Gate, East Elturel. Now, Waukeen's Rest. Who is Waukeen? Well, I'm glad you asked. Waukeen is a goddess, and very importantly, she is the goddess of coin and commerce. So she is worshipped by enterprising business people all across the realms. Her blessing is financial success, and her curse is financial ruin. But we're going to go in as Karlak for reasons that will become clear.
Something's burning. Got it. I hear shouting. Someone needs help.
Keep pushing! Shoot Raven Guard could be inside. On count of 3. 1, 2.
Raven. He's here.
Yes! Now make yourself useful! Push, damn it! Push!
You heard her well. Get in there. Right, the reason we're using Karlak is because as a tiefling, she is resistant to fire damage.
Door's gonna blow. If we open it, there's an inferno waiting for us.
Not the most intelligent group. Have to wait for me to come and smack the door open.
Come. I'm afraid proper thanks must wait.
Okay. Bye-bye. So, there is a person in here that we can try and save, but I'm just trying to remember how we do that. Do we have a scroll of Misty Step or something? Let's have a look. Doesn't look like it, does it? Okay. Let's just smash this and run in as fast as we can. Oh, Karlak! Quick! Karlak, run! No, Karlak! Girl! Girl! Come on.
The fire! Hurry! Get this thing off me!
We're going to Barbarian Rage!
You did it!
Thank you. Now, how the hell do we get out of here?
Come on, follow me.
Right. I'll try to keep up.
Right. Let's go and smack this. And then we go through here. And then, oh, wait, what? Oh, ooh. Can't control knockdown.
Let's go in.
Let's just end our turns. Sir? There we go. Right. Out we come.
Slaughtered everyone. Mary. Oh, Mary. No.
Okay, we'll deal with that in a second. Right. Where is Floric? There she is.
Councillor Floric, are you all right?
Well, by the living gods, I couldn't have asked for a finer savior. Scorched throat, a few hairs singed off, nothing a bit of time and fresh air can't cure. Gauntlet, a new duty calls. Drow have taken Grand Duke Alder Ravengard westward, if my eyes and ears can be believed. Report to the Manic and send for reinforcements. We must find the Duke.
On your command, Councillor.
No, it can't be. You mean they've taken my...
Yes, Will. The Drow have your father.
Ravengard. I know that name.
As well you should. He is the great champion of the council. Commander of the Flaming Fist. The binding force holding Baldur's Gate together.
Without him, the city faces collapse. In fact, I fear that may have been the intention of those who abducted him.
Will, you must hold little love for your father. But please, find him and return him to the city.
Trust us to see it through, Councillor.
I'll travel west and rescue Duke Ravengard.
Thank you. When the Grand Duke returns to the city, he'll hail his only son a hero.
Go. You should pick up the Drow trail with ease. I will seek reinforcements and join you when I can.
Remember, Will, courage is found in the battle against fear, not in the defeat of it.
So Father said. I won't soon forget.
Fist to work.
She is wearing a very, very revealing outfit. That's what I thought. She's an elf. Okay, right. Well,
Shit. You can put distance between you and yesterday, but you'll never leave it fully behind. Father's words. Hard to argue with them. Floric spoke true. I'm a Grand Duke's son.
Well, he's not just any Grand Duke. He's Baldur Ravengard, the most influential duke in the city.
I knew this. In the back of my mind, Ravengard's son left for the gate. Or left the gate.
You heard right. My father and I were close once upon a time, until he disowned me and cast me out of Baldur's Gate. Such a rift isn't so easily mended. But it's not so wide that I'd let my own father suffer at his captor's hands.
You shouldn't keep secrets like this from me, Will.
I know. And you're right. When I look into a mirror, I see two faces. I see the Blade of Frontiers, a man hunting the fiends who prey on the weak and poor at the coast. And I see Will Ravengard, the memory of a memory, a man who belongs to the past. I wanted you to know the Blade, not the shadow he left behind.
What do you think the Drow want with your father?
I've been asking myself the same question. What makes a Duke of Baldur's Gate so interesting to the Drow? Even the houses of Men's Oberanzan would have little use for my father. No, this is no Drow plot. These absolute nutters, these true souls are behind his abduction. His absence alone will sow chaos in the city. If they were to infect him, he could lead Baldur's Gate to ruin. All the more reason to find him. The Absolute has seized not just my father, but the future of the Sword Coast.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about Baldur's Gate and its politics. So the city and its politics. So we had Will refer to his father as a duke, and Karlach retort by saying, well, he's not just any duke. So Baldur Ravengard is the current Grand Duke, and he heads the Council of Four. So the Council of Four comprise of 4 dukes that run the city of Baldur's Gate. So at the time of descent into Avernus, those 4 are Baldur Ravengard. There's then Duke Thalamra van Thamper, who is one of the villains in Descent into Avernus. There's then Duke Stelmane and Duke Portir. Now, they comprise basically the executive of the city. Baldur's Gate does have a parliament, known as the Parliament of Peers. They are more of an advisory council, and they are able to submit recommendations to the Council of Four, but ultimately the Council of Four are the ones who make all of the decisions. So, one of the difficulties with this political system is that the Parliament of Peers has about 50 members, and those meet daily in order to basically engage in discussion and try and sort problems out in the city. About 12 of its members live within the lower city, and all of the others are from the families in the upper city. And these families are called the Patriarch families. Now, Patriarch families are those families who have a hereditary peerage in the Parliament, which is to say that their seat is passed down through their family bloodline. It's something that is inherited. So it's much like the House of Lords used to be in the United Kingdom. There are very few hereditary peerages now in the House of Lords because that's been done away with, for rather good reason, in a move to democratise the House of Lords insofar as you can democratise an unelected chamber. But the patriarchs, the patriarch families are basically those that have a peerage. You then have the situation that in order to create new seats, in order to invite basically new people in who do not have a hereditary peerage, you have to. The Parliament is able to do that, but it requires unanimous consent. And given the way that a lot of the patriarchs are very straightforwardly self-interested, that is not something that is going to be achieved very easily. So, the political situation within Baldur's Gate is one where you have these dukes that are able to run things. They have basically all of the power. They are elected by the Parliament of Peers, but the Parliament of Peers primarily consists of a landed gentry or a peerage system whereby you inherit your title. That is the case for the vast majority of these peerages. Some don't. Some are given on the basis of including members of the lower city, but these are far from majority. So this is the reason that you have such a difficult and complicated political system within Baldur's Gate, because you have this system where the Council of Four will have their own influences, and as we've discussed, the leader of the council, the Grand Duke Ulder Ravengard, is also the head of the Flaming Fist, so he is basically the general of the private army that governs the lower city. It's very easy for corruption to occur, and indeed corruption does occur. So one of the other things that we can talk about in terms of the politics of Baldur's Gate whilst we're on this topic is the guild. So you have a lot of crime that goes on in a city as big as Baldur's Gate, particularly in a port city that has access to all sorts of other places along the Sword Coast. And you also have a system in Baldur's Gate where you basically have different groups of people operating together for their own ends, which is referred to as the crew system. So you might have a crew of like barbers, for example, that all look out for one another, and they form basically a kind of union, but with a slightly more martial edge, maybe, than we tend to typically think of unions, as they're not necessarily just attempting to petition the owner of a business or the state for certain protections. They are basically forming a crew that sees to their own protection. The guild, however, is basically a large crew that is pretty synonymous with most of the organised crime in Baldur's Gate, which is to say that the guild basically divides the city into different territories. It has kingpins that rule over different territories, and it sees to a bunch of different kind of plots. And one of the things that the guild is able to do, because it has such an influence, is the guild is able to buy and influence members of the Parliament of Peers. So they are able to have a political say as well as just from the shadows, so to speak.
You spot a man crouching between the shelves, just as he spots you.
Recite Rugen's passphrase, Little Serpent, Long Shadow.
Oh, hell's dwarfs. I thought you were Flaming Fist. Down you go then. They'll be on us soon, so if you're looking to trade, best be quick. Entrance is hidden behind the wardrobe. Here's the key.
So there was mention of Helm. Helm is a god. He is the god of guardians, the god of watchers, the god of protection. Helm is kind of an interesting figure because during the time of troubles, as we've talked about several times, the gods were all cast down into the mortal world. Helm was an exception. Helm was allowed to keep his divine status, but he was charged by the overgod Eo with the task of protecting the way back to the plains. So basically, the gods that tried to get back to their homes were barred by Helm. There's a book here, Inroads by Arms Dealer Gortash. Nine Fingers. Here follows a report on the inroads upstart smuggler Enver Gortash has been making on the illicit arms trade in the Shonthar Valley through inroads, though inroads badly understates the case. Annexation would be more apt. The former black market leaders, the Knights of the Shield, and outside the city, the Zentarim, have largely been supplanted by Gortash's operation. Illegal arms have never been a major component of the guild's business, but given his apparent ambitions, it would be unwise to assume that Gortash will stop there. He bears watching closely by Bursar Uktar. So, Nine Fingers. We were just talking about the guild, and here the guild is mentioned, so there was some nice synchronicity there. Nine Fingers Keen is the leader of the guild. So this is a report directly for her.
Look at that.
So we found our way to the Zentarim hideout.
That's far enough. What's your business down here? Answer honestly and maybe we'll kill you clean.
Hold on. That's the lad who saved us from the gnolls. Let him in.
You revealed our location. That tongue gets any looser, Rugen. I'll cut it out. Come down then. Seems you're a friend of the family.
So yes, the people we rescued from that cave who were being attacked by the Gnoll were Zentarim. They were smugglers for the Black Network. And they have given us a way in to this place. If we had come here first, we would have been tasked with finding that shipment, but we've done it in the reverse order here. Better not click on anything accidentally. Right, let's talk to Zaris.
I owe you one for saving my people. The Zentarim look out for their own, even if it's Rugen. That's worth some coin. And my thanks. Our trader can show you some of our more exotic items now, but don't delay. This place is likely to be rubble soon.
Rubble? What are you planning to do?
Someone kidnapped a Duke, right on our bloody doorstep. The Flaming Fist will need someone to blame. I don't plan on it being us.
Okay. Received a crossbow. So, let's talk to Rugen.
That drink I promised will have to wait. We're moving out. The elf song's my local. Look me up if you're in the city.
So, the Elf Song Tavern. The Elf Song Tavern is one of the most kind of iconic locations within Baldur's Gate. So, as with D&D, you have your cities, you have your locations, but one of the most important establishments that exists in any D&D campaign is the tavern. The tavern is kind of the iconic place where adventures begin. So, for Waterdeep, we talked about the Yawning Portal as being like the adventurer's tavern. In Baldur's Gate, you have the Elf Song, which is known because it is kind of haunted, I guess, or at least there is a ghostly voice that sings in Elven every so often near the tavern. But it's one of the most iconic locations. It did feature in the original Baldur's Gate game, not in the second one, but as we've discussed, you don't go to Baldur's Gate in Baldur's Gate 2. You're in Athkatla in Arm. Right, let's talk to Ollie and see if he's got anything to say.
Good to see you. Killed any more beasts out there?
Oh, well, we don't get to answer him apparently.
Druids may have welcomed you, but I
He
can
seems
see
to
you're
have
not
glitched
like
out
your
slightly.
thugs. You need to buy me.
Why are you selling yourself?
Selling myself? I am not some lower city coin lad offering you a tumble. I am an artist, and my patron will reward you for my rescue. Tenfold, whatever ransom you pay, I guarantee it.
Who is your patron?
As far as you're concerned, she may as well be the coin maiden herself. But there will be time for questions later. Please, speak to Brem. I need to see the sun again.
Okay, so the Coin Maiden is another name for Waukeen. Right, Brem, hello.
Well, don't you cut a fine figure? Want your portrait done? If you have the gold, my pet artist will make you a most heroical likeness.
Heroical? It's not the art I want to buy, it's the artist.
I doubt you've got that kind of dosh line about.
You're insane if you think I'm going to pay that much. Pray to Ogma. No. Critical success.
Alright, so maybe I was fishing. No fooling you.
Yeah, let's
He's
pay
all
him.
yours. Don't forget to feed him. He balls something proper.
Right.
Alright, back already?
I want to trade.
Of course. Got some interesting stock for a friend of the family.
And I probably don't have much money. Oh, I have a reasonable amount of money. Alright, let's just get rid of some of this useless tat. Don't know why he's buying rotten chicken eggs, but, you know, if he's going to do it, that's fine. Right, let's see. In terms of armour, that's exactly what I'm already wearing. It's got some dyes as well, which is quite nice. I think there's anything there that we really need, though. Okay, goodbye, Bremity. Oh. Right. So, that was our experience with the Zentarum. They will come up again later. But it's also interesting because we've got the Zentarum outpost, but we've also had a mention of the guild. So the Zentarum and the guild often don't really see eye to eye. The guild is localized to Baldur's Gate. That's where they operate, and they don't like other forces trying to colonize their turf. So historically there's been really bad blood between the Zentarum and the guild because the Zentarum want, you know, economic dominance. The guild do not want anything influencing their turf but them. But there seems to be mention of them in the same place. That's a thread that will be picked up much later. Let's return to the Blighted Village.
Shouldn't nature be beautiful and serene? It looks so nice in the upper city parts.
Upper City, huh? Swish. Never spent much time there myself.
I'll happily take you if we survive this bug's banquet.
Sounds good.
Going this
I've
way.
always been curious what a patriarch looks like.
So yeah, we've had some mention there of the upper city and what's going on there.
Lads, for the love of all that is holy, I've never
They've disappeared again.
your poor sister.
Drop the act, hag.
We've got some
You
kind of
was the last
glitch.
to see me, Rena. Just let her go. Please.
Everybody we speak to
Goodness,
disappears.
Dear sweetie, I don't know what's come over these boys.
Auntie Ethel's face creases with false concern. You realize she's lying about seeing this girl, Mayrina.
Well, we have seen...
We won't ask again.
We're doing really well considering we can't even see her. You're lying, you have seen this girl.
Bollocks. You were supposed to rush to my defense, love. fat lot of good you are. Some advice? You ever darken my door, you'd best have that head bowed and an apology at the ready. Bye-bye now.
Bloody hell. She just disappeared. Been seen nothing like that before.
She could shoot fireworks out of her backside for all I care. The hag has Brina.
Will someone please tell me what's going on?
It's our sister, Mayrina. She's... well... she was in a bad way after her husband died.
Started saying weird things, like how she was gonna bring him back.
Next thing, she's gone looking for the hag. Of all the stupid things to do. And we haven't seen her since. And no good ever came from dealing with a hag.
None of this matters, alright? We need to get her back, and fast.
I'm sorry, I wish you luck in finding her.
Thank you. We'll need it.
To hell's with that. We don't need luck or bloody help. Now come on. We've a hag to kill.
We will be pursuing that lead, but we'll let them get on with it first. So, we're going this way because we're pursuing a different thread. So there's a bit of hopping back and forth between a few different threads in this particular episode. But if you recall, in the second episode when we went to the Emerald Grove, we found some information about a meeting that Korga had been invited to. And we're going to go to that meeting spot and we're going to see what we find there.
A chill runs up your spine. You feel like you're being watched.
Cleric of Ogma, Wisdom. Reach out with your senses. Check the balance of this place.
You blink and the wilderness changes. A swamp, stinking and insidious, assaults your senses.
So someone or something was concealing the true nature of this place, and it's actually really ugly. Goodness. Oh, have we glitched slightly? Let's just do a quick save and a quick load because we're still in the dialogue menu despite the fact that the dialogue is over. There we go. Right.
Moving ahead.
So it's quite a remote place. It's this tree over here, which requires some jumping to reach. Wilfred. Good boy. Right.
Holding back.
Can I reach anybody? Don't think so.
2 steps at a time.
So, let's see. Let's move these soul coins over to Karlak. So soul coins, as we've discussed, they can be used to like power infernal machinery, and that's exactly what we're going to use them for right now. We're going to use them to fuel Karlak's heart. Oh, we missed. Does one have... yeah, okay, let's try and get rid of that. Oh, only 1 damage, what a shame. Okay, let's throw some fire. And miss. Oh dear. Let's try again with the produce flame. Oof. Okay, right. Let's we'll have a little bit of a rest after this, but let's just pick up some stuff. Oh dear. Karlak's getting entangled again. It's just mud. We don't need to avoid it that much. Right, let's talk to Karlak.
So, hey, we've got this soul coin, right? Thing is, I think I can use it. My engine can, anyway. Zariel used to top me up every now and again when she wanted me to go after an especially wicked target.
So this introduces a somewhat interesting moral quandary. So we can power up Karlak with these soul coins. It's very easy to do. You just pop it in, burn it, sorted. But as we've discussed, soul coins are souls. They are damned souls. So you are consuming, burning up a soul in order to do this. So let's say this to her and see what she says.
They're already lost. Better to be used in service of the good guys than a devil, don't you think? Next time we're in a nasty battle, drop one my way. You'll enjoy the results.
Okay, intriguing. Next time we're in battle, we'll be sure to make use of one.
Fuck yes. Now I just need something to sink my teeth into.
So, Karlak is a pretty good person, you know, she's pretty good, pretty chill, she has values that she cares about, but at the same time, there's this attitude towards damned souls that is a little bit kind of fatalistic, but then again, part of the metaphysics of this place is it supports that. Okay, so, letter to Korga. Korga, Oladan has sent word of your progress. I am pleased that the Rite of Thorns has begun. I depart soon from Cloakwood to Baldur's Gate. Should you need further aid from my circle, now is the time to ask. Once cloistered, the Emerald Grove will be the Shadow Druid's domain, and you, its first druid. In Faldorn's memory, Archdruid Aelis. So, Faldorn is a interesting reference. So this is a reference to a companion that you can get in the first, I believe it's the first Baldur's Gate game. Yes, first Baldur's Gate game, and she is a Shadow Druid. She has a bit of an enmity between her and one of the other druids that you can acquire, who is one of the companions you can encounter in this game as well, Jaheira. And basically, she is someone that you can encounter in Cloakwood, which is a wood sort of near-ish Baldur's Gate in that kind of region. And basically, her attitude is one of the woodlands are being defiled by industry in various ways, and basically she wants to stop that, because again, the Shadow Druids have this attitude of like, no, everything should almost kind of return to the state of nature. Interestingly, that's a reference to a previous Baldur's Gate game, which is a nice little thing to have there. Right, we're going to rest. And then we're going to, oh, we've got a scene.
Hellspawn. She's coming.
Well, you've been naughty. And you know what happens when you're naughty.
God damn it. Anyone but her.
Just who in the nine hells are you?
Well, you absolute stinker. You kept me a secret? Time to let the Hellcat out of the bag. Call me Mizora. I'm Will's patron, the fount of his power. My pet's been unruly, and his leash needs a yank. We had a deal, Will. But Karlak's still breathing.
I've taken more pleasant shits than you, Mizora. And at least those can be buried after.
That's no kind of talk for a lady. By the way, Karlak, Zariel sends her regards.
You told me! Devils only! She's a tiefling, not a monster!
How precious. The little puckster's found his bark.
Clause G, Section 9. Target shall be limited to the infernal, the demonic, the heartless, and the soulless.
Karlak meets the criteria by virtue of having no heart.
Okay, we're going to say you better not lay a damned finger on Karlak.
Don't you worry. That ship has long sailed the Styx. But a defiant pup must still pay his price. To wit.
discs strike his flesh. His soul passes through each layer of the hells, gaining their essence and their torment.
That's better.
What the hells have you done?
A promise broken, a price paid. You know the terms. Get used to the new form, pet. There's no going back. Some magic even I can't undo. Now, let's see how the frontiers fare without their precious blade. Karlak, keep an eye on him, would you? I'll be keeping mine on you. Oh, and Will, don't forget, our pact still stands. Ta-ta.
Okay, so Will has been transformed. Let's see what Karlak has to say.
I'll be honest, soldier. I'm reeling. Will hardly knows me, but he chose my life over his. Been a long time since someone stuck their neck out for me like that.
He's a good man, maybe the best of us.
You can say that again. When he was chasing me through Avernus, I thought he was just another sad merc. How wrong I was.
Okay, Will also has something to say, likely about his new face.
Something's on my mind.
God's damn her, straight back to the hells. Just look at me. I did what was right, and Mazora made me pay for it. I'd be hunting devils and demons, she said. Traitors and hypocrites, heartless evils of all sorts, but not Zariel's victims. Not innocent tieflings.
Warlock pacts tend to be unforgiving from what you know of them. Will was lucky he didn't face a more severe punishment.
You warned me about Raphael, but pacted to Mazora. What a fraud.
I deserve that. Consider me properly shamed. It's Mazora who grants me the power to conjure armor and cast eldritch blasts. Before I was infected, I could even call hell beasts and summon festering clouds. But I promise you, every thrust of my blade and every flame I sparked was for the good of the coast.
Let me guess, this pact is what caused the rift between you and your father?
It's not unrelated. I wish I could tell you more. I can't utter the terms or circumstances of the pact. I can tell you most all else, but the pact, unforbidden, unless Mazora permits it. But I'll say this. The moment I pacted myself to Mazora, I have not regretted for a heartbeat. It was my proudest deed. It was worth the sacrifice. All I can give you on that is my solemn word.
Okay, so Warlock Pacts are an interesting element. So the Warlock class was originally introduced, to my knowledge, in 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, but it was a kind of supplementary class. So I believe it was complete arcane. One of the issues with 3rd edition is bloat, in the sense that they had so many source books. So I believe in complete arcane they introduced the Warlock. And how warlocks would work is they wouldn't have access to spells, they'd have invocations, which were basically their own versions of spells that they could cast as much as they wanted to, but their selection was much more limited. That's been adapted in 5th edition, but within 4th edition, the warlock moved into the player's handbook, so it became like a central class, and it's remained there basically since, so it's been in 5th edition as well. The idea is that if you have wizards who are learning magic through study, sorcerers who have some innate gift of magic, warlocks are those who gain magic from another source, and it's specifically through through. I mean, the way Gale put it in a previous discussion was it's not necessarily power that is their own. So they're using the power of another entity, or they are using secrets gained from another entity. So within the player's handbook and within Baldur's Gate 3, there are 3 different patron types you can choose between. So you've got the Fiend, which is where Will comes in. You've also got the Archfey and the Great Old One, which is kind of like a Lovecraftian cosmicist entity that is so far beyond our understanding. But pacts can look different for different types of warlock. So they've gone down quite a standard route in this, which is that Will's pact is something he overtly swore with Mizora. Mizora knows what's going on. Mizora has some level of control over him, and the idea is it's a reciprocal relationship to some degree, even though, as a devil, Mizora is manipulating him to gain the upper hand. Such is her want. So with this, that's one of the most standard types, and the idea is that in this she is supplying him with power. If he breaks the pact, or severs the tie with her, he loses his magic entirely, because his magic is just her power that she is lending to him. Now, there are other ways that you can explain how warlocks work. So, for example, it could be, and this fits something like the Great Old One patron really nicely, it could be that the patron is not even aware of the warlock, and the warlock is literally just stealing bits from the patron, stealing magic, stealing scraps. So warlock pacts are very, very versatile. The difficulty with warlock pacts, though, is it often involves exposing oneself, one way or another, to very powerful and very dangerous entities. Speaking of dangerous entities, Karlak is just lying on a bedroll while fully on fire. Well, there we go. So you can imagine, even if, take for example the Fae. Celtic folklore is replete with stories of why you don't fuck with the Fae, why you don't get involved with them, because they're always out to get you in one way or another. You can imagine swearing a bargain with the Fae is dangerous. So going down the route of swearing a pact with one, like an overt pact where both sides know about it, is dangerous. But so is stealing from them, because a Fae creature or a devil, if they find out that you're stealing their power, they're not going to be very happy with that. Even if it's just like copying. You're not stealing in the sense of it takes something away from them or detracts from them, but you're stealing something that does not belong to you. So warlocks are... They're kind of also presented in some ways as kind of... These are shortcuts to power, because they gain certain advantages over and against other kinds of spellcaster. And the main advantage is that their spell slots, although there are fewer of them, are all of the same level, and they replenish on a short rest. So basically they can keep going for longer with magic. Right, on that note, we're going to rest, and then we're going to confront Korga.
Tonight you can't chase the thoughts of that poor girl you killed from your head. You wonder what she looked like as she died. Squirming, skewered in abject agony.
Go for a walk to try and stop yourself from retching.
Body barely complies. Feel such rushes from your thoughts of the dead woman. Why did she die? The mystery gnaws at your pounding heart.
Milord, jubilant day! I have found your vile self at last! Sceleritas fell. Your loyal and ever-adoring butler. I followed you, my dear rotted master. We have been parted so tragically long.
What in the hells do you mean? You're my butler?
Oh, one hell of a butler. The most unprincipled servant you could hope for. You have always
struggled to conduct yourself properly without me. I found you following the stench of that bard. She reeked across the coast, like a piece of dog muck on the road.
Did you cause me to kill her?
Such fine work could never be done by a wretch like me. Anyways, I come once again bearing a part of your dreadful inheritance. You earned this iniquitous prize through your great show of exceptional violence the other night. I'm sure Master will be better soon. A fellow of your fine breeding is never down for long. I cannot wait until your next act of shameless barbarity.
Not likely. I'm already disgusted at myself for killing her.
Oh, it was wonderfully disgusting, wasn't it? Be true to yourself, my lord.
Okay. Karlak's still fully on fire. Okay. We've received the Deathstalker Mantle. Where is it? There it is. So, once per turn, when you kill an enemy, shroud yourself in primeval darkness to become invisible for 2 turns. We're giving that straight to Astarion. And doesn't it suit him? The princely regalia. Okay, let's go and confront Korga and bring this episode to an end. In fact, do I have... That's a javelin. I think I just sold them all, didn't I? That's a great sword. That's a scimitar. Because I have higher dexterity than I do strength, so it'll be better to have something I can actually have a positive modifier on. Okay. Hello, Korga.
Why are you here? I sent you to Zevlor.
I know the truth. You mean to take the grove for the Shadow Druids.
What? That damn nose of yours has gone poking in our business.
Mistress Ollerton, I can explain.
Shh. No need. It couldn't be helped.
Korga, what is the meaning of this?
You think yourself quite the spy, don't you? Go on, tell him.
Korga's a Shadow Druid. She means to convert the circle.
A shadow druid? Korga, have you lost your mind?
You and Helsing welcome untouchables to your midst. You defile the grove for the sake of harmony.
Ollerton speaks truth. Who among you disagrees? Who would see this grove in ruin?
Choice is made. Koga, burn the tainted away. Start with the snitch.
As you say, Oladin.
So, interestingly enough, the idea of untouchables. What was the word that was used there? Yeah, untouchables. That's obviously describing the tieflings, and again we have this specific racism that is directed against the tieflings, but also this sense of their distant ancestry is infernal, therefore they are a taint that needs to be expunged. It's very basic race thinking, and it's unfortunately race thinking that the system of race within D&D does endorse. But we are going to try and persuade Korga away from the darkness. The shadows won't save you, they'll corrupt you. Stop this while you can. I'm going to just knowledge of the ages, and... oh, no, one or the other. There we go.
No. You don't know what you say. In shadow, we are purified.
Korga's voice breaks and her lips tremble. She heard reason in your words.
You know I'm right. Don't let the shadows corrupt you.
When the darkest hour fell, it was us that brought light. Sylvanas demands we illuminate shadow, not hide within it. How was I so blind?
Careful, Koga. The shadows don't forgive.
I belong to the shadows no longer. You've no power over me.
You would question my power. Mother Earth, hear me. Grant me your wrath.
Shadow druids? In my grove? It's more likely than you'd think. Right. Let's get to killing. Wasn't very good really though, was it? Okay, the AI is not great. She just walked into her own moonbeam, got damage from it, and therefore lost concentration on the moonbeam. This is a bit irritating. They're entangling one another. Oh, we didn't. Oh dear, we didn't. What's what I'm looking for? Attune him to his sword, but it's fine. Nice. Can we hit him? Technically, yes. Well, her. There we go. Right. This could be great. Yeah, there we go. Oh. Oh dear, the wolf just killed herself. That's a shame.
I wonder if this is worth the cost.
Let's just produce flame.
Wrath thought me a danger. Seems I've proven him right.
You're damned right. Joining the Shadow Druids? What were you thinking?
I was thinking I could make us safe. A foolish notion. To think we'd find comfort in shadow. I endangered a child. I betrayed the Sekul's trust. We will stop the right and I will stand trial.
My fate lies with Sylvanus. May he have mercy.
And what of Zevlor's people?
We will grant them safe harbor until they depart. Meanwhile, help us contend with the goblins. Perhaps we can dissuade them from attacking.
How did the Shadow Druids even find you?
It began with a letter. There was no messenger. It simply appeared. Olladin came soon after. An army was coming, she said. Goblins, drow, and more still. Legions upon legions. The Druids of Cloakwood knew the dangers this would bring. They ordained that all circles cast the rite to shelter from the storm. Olladin taught me to harness the Tree Father's power to wall us in. In return, well, you know the rest. I would turn the grove over to them. I won't forget the wounds I've inflicted. I pray Halcyon returns to heal them in full.
Okay, let's leave. Right.
What's hiding here?
Oh, Loic died as well. Oh, well. Whoa, no, no, no.
Keep your hands.
They don't want us doing that. Ren also died. That's a shame. Wait, was Ren... No, it was Wrath. Wrath died. Oh dear. It's that bloody moonbeam, Korga.
Have to keep going.
Well, there we go. Okay, let's just, picking up a lot of armor. And we're not that strong to begin with. Right, okay. I think we'll end our fourth session there. It's been a bit of a hodgepodge of stuff. We've looked at the Risen Road and fought some gnolls. We visited Waukeen's Rest and discovered about the abduction of Duke Ulder Ravengard. We implicated, I should say, ourselves in some Zentarim schemes, and we have exposed Korga as an affiliate of the Shadow Druids and turned her away from the path of darkness. All in a day's work, but next time I think we're going to start looking toward the Goblin camp, and we're going to take a look at what we find there, some of the different creatures, visiting some of the texts like the Monster Manual again, to learn more about goblins and bugbears and what else? I think ogres, a couple of ogres that we'll look at. But yes, so please, if you're interested in any of that, join me in the next one. But until then, I wish you all well, and I will speak to you later. Goodbye.